Wonderful. And I see people just starting to pour in, which is super exciting. Wonderful. My name is Jason Lindstrom, and we're going to be giving everybody just a few moments to get dialed into the call, and then we'll be kicking things off. We have an outstanding speaker, some really good content, and I'm excited to share it with everyone today. And while you're dialing in and joining in, why don't you go ahead and say, just use the chat window. Just go ahead and say where you're from. What city are you from? Myself, I'm from Vancouver. I'm just going to go ahead and type that in.
Hey,
yeah, fair enough. Waterloo, Pamela. Oh my goodness, look at everybody. Langley, Springfield, Missouri, Nashville, Texas, Hartfield, Connecticut, Florida. We got North America pretty much covered. I bet you'll have a bunch of international people. Myrtle Beach. Whew.
Myrtle Beach is not international.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, I was just thinking about the golfing, Tampa Bay, New Jersey, Detroit, Michigan. Wonderful, everybody. This is awesome. So as people come pouring in, which is super exciting, I'm going to just briefly introduce myself, and then we'll get things kicked off. So my name is Jason Lindstrom. I'm one of the managing partners here over at Bucket List Rewards. We are an enterprise rewards and recognition platform. We have users in over 40 different countries, many tens of thousands of users. And we've been ranked #1 for employee satisfaction and for ease of use. But more importantly, Dr. Bob, if you want to get into the next slide.
Yeah.
I would love to introduce our guest, Dr. Bob. I've had the opportunity to personally know him for several years now. He's just, he's an amazing guy, super supportive, loves sharing great quality information. And he is also the creator of Employee Appreciation Day. He's also considered a leading advocate for employee recognition and engagement worldwide. I'm going to share 2 fun facts about Dr. Bob. Specifically, he's been featured in all sorts of national and international media coverage. We're talking the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, CNN, CBS, and 60 Minutes. He's also sold over 5 million books, which is outstanding. Some of his books include titles like 1,501 Ways to Reward Employees, the 1,001 Rewards and Recognition Field Book, and the Management Bible, just to name a few. Final comment about Dr. Bob, he's presented in over 6 continents and worked with over 80% of the Fortune 500 companies. And he's got a little snapshot of just a handful of the organizations that he's worked with. So welcome, Dr. Bob, the guru of thank you. I'm super excited. So why don't I turn it over to you, sir, and you can jump into it.
Jason, thank you, sir. Yes. Who's ready to have some fun? Make every day a fun day. It's gonna be a big day. And we got a lot to go over, so I'm gonna kick right in. You know, Sir Richard Branson once said, if you take care of your people, they'll take care of your business. And the top way to take care of your people is to recognize them, to thank them when they do a good job. As simple as that is, it's not done that much. In fact, 67% of employees say recognition is their top performance motivator. So if you want to get more from your employees, whatever that might be, this is the way to do it. It's like a hidden secret, to be honest. I did my doctoral dissertation on this topic 20 years ago, and separating why managers use or don't use recognition. We know it works already. We got 400 studies that say you get what you reward. You get often called the greatest management principle in the world. You get what you reward, what you recognize, what you inspect, what you follow up on. You will get more of, hands down, guaranteed. Okay. When it comes to driving desired performance, motivating people, keeping them longer, creating a culture, a best place to work, to attract talent. This is a ticket. This is the top ticket to get there. Yet I find that most companies when you're serious about performance, you have to be serious about this topic. Now this is about as straightforward as you can get, but yet most companies get this wrong, and it stuns me literally that they're serious about performance, our revenues and market share and innovation and whatever it might be. We're serious about that. But do they recognize those things? No, they do not. They tend to recognize different stuff over here. Years of service, birthdays, holiday parties. What? If you just recognize those things, you're recognizing presence, not performance. And you will create, whether you want to or not, a culture of entitlement where people end up saying, hey, we got next for me. What's so don't today's Friday. If you brought in donuts for everybody, that's a nice thing, okay? And next Friday you do it again because it's a beautiful day out. And what's going to happen the third Friday? Where's the donuts? It's Donut Friday after all. And you're going to find yourself initially starting by doing a nice thing. Now you feel compelled. You got to keep bringing in donuts, and now it's not good enough that you brought in donuts. Can we get some with the little sprinkles on them? And someone taking orders for bear claws and raspberry fillings, and you're going, what's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with this? You slipped on the entitlement slope. Don't do stuff just to be nice. Don't do stuff because this is what we've done for the last 20 years. Stop doing stuff out of the 1940s and start paying attention now to your employees and what's important to them, and take those things seriously, and just get that list and do the top one. And if you get through that one, do the second one, and you will get in the game. Most companies are not in the game on this topic, seriously. 88% of millennials, the largest generation of the workforce today, say money's not their top motivator. If you're managing and I've had employees tell me, said, I went to my boss, I said, I want more recognition, I want more visibility. And he said, I'm working on a raise for you. Raise is nice, but I want visibility, I want recognition. And for a lot of managers, they don't get it. And I want to share some things that anyone could do, any manager, any employee can do for another employee. And then let's get back to that question, how to get managers in the game. So, and I want to start with, because, this is the game here for the last year. We got people working virtually. So there's a lot of interest in what does recognition look like virtually? And I've got some ideas, wouldn't you know? And it starts with the simplest, also the lowest cost. And this is from my research, is personal and public praise. Now, there's different ways you can do this. You can do it in person. That's nice. You can do it in writing. An email, a note. You can do it electronically. You can do it publicly. I did a little research thing. I looked at 52 explicit behaviors, and I surveyed a large base of employees, and to find out of these behaviors, which are most important to you, that drive your motivation at work. And of the top 10, these were in the top 10, these 4 that you're looking at right now. So I initially, when this came up in my research, said, well, isn't this all the same thing? Isn't praise? Isn't this one bucket? And what I learned, and what I want you to know, is that no, this is such a rich dimension. Each of these items are mutually exclusive. And think about when you praise someone directly to them, that's meaningful. But if you send them an email or a note or a written note, and that they could share with their family, that's a different type of recognition. It has a different power to it. Same is true if something electronic, voicemail that they might listen to multiple times, or certainly something publicly. So you got to fire on each of these cylinders to get the most out of the praise bucket. In fact, just spend a minute on this. It's not that hard to do a praise, but I find most managers have never gotten any training on it. So I like to think of ASAPQ for as soon, as sincere, as specific, as personal, as positive, and proactive as possible. You can do this in 10 seconds in the hallway, okay? Timing's important. The sooner you recognize desired behavior or performance, the more you reinforce it, the more likely you're gonna get more of that. Okay, so when the thought crosses your mind that someone did a good job, act on that thought. When you see something, say something, okay, something positive. And again, it's all over the map what you could do, but you got to do something. Like, you can't just have a mental note that, yeah, Jerry did it again, he's one of my best people. Unless you say something, Jerry's not going to know that you know that he's the best person. And you'll be surprised when he one day quits because he's not getting recognition. And then it's too late to get him back, by the way. So it's got to be from the heart, sincere. Some of the sincerity comes from specifics of what is said in the praising. So use your data. What did you get from the client? What did you see in the report? What did you hear from others? Use that to give more credibility to the praising. Ideally, you want to do it personally. Face-to-face is nice, but in a virtual environment, over the web is fine too. You want to be 100% positive, which should go without saying, but I've learned a lot of managers, the way they praise is they'll say something nice. Hey, thanks for that report for my 2 o'clock meeting. There are a lot of typos in it, and then they take it away with a critical judgment thing, and that's what you leave the person with, talking about what they did wrong. And so skip that, hold that, save it for a different discussion, next month. And then finally, you want to be proactive. You want to lead the charge with this. You don't want to be reactive. You want to be proactive. If you're reactive, I guarantee you it's not going to be about the positive. It's going to be around the mistakes and the problems and the complaints and whatnot. And I find most managers are in a hole trying to, they come to work and they got their to-do list and they spend all their time dealing with crises and problems and customer complaints. And you got to climb out of that hole and start leading the charge. And you do that by calling out desired performance that you see with the people that are working for you. And the more you do that, the more that becomes the state of the game, and the less you're going to have to spend on fixing problems and complaints and whatnot. In my experience. Yes.
This outstanding. We're just getting a flood of supportive comments, doubling down and supporting everything you're saying, which is outstanding. I got a question that I often hear, which is recognition just for new age companies, just for tech companies, or are there kind of like older incumbents? Like, is this for everybody, or is this just for like startups, for example?
80% of employees today say they feel overworked and underappreciated. 80%. And the average company, only 12% of employees say they get meaningful recognition in a timely, specific way. So this is for everybody. Now it does look different from person to person. So you can't do one size fits all. Okay, and that's a change from the past, because we do the one thing. We do the holiday party and then everyone gets it. That's too little, too late. It's got to be in the moment, along the way, not the end of the year. And it does vary. And so ultimately, you want to find out how people like to be recognized. You can have that conversation. You can have it as a group. And you can do this on a Zoom call. Next time just take a couple minutes and just go around the room. What motivates you when you're not at work? What are you excited about? And you can't help but build a tighter team by having people share stuff about themselves. I'm a senior fellow for the conference board, and we got these tend to be sometimes long, boring meetings. And boy, the last one they said, hey, we're going to do something different. We're going to start each meeting with something personal about each person. We went around the group and everyone shared their favorite movie. It was great, and then all of a sudden you've got a connection with different people, and you could other things you can talk about. So you got to find out what's important to people to be on the mark for them. You can't just be acting in a vacuum. But no, I find praise doesn't get old if you do it right. Now, if you're doing it just going through the motions, it'll get old. But if you do it right and it has these principles, it never gets old. I never had an employee tell me, I've just had it up to here with my boss telling me I'm doing a good job. I can't take any more of that. That's not going to happen. So no employee ever. So when you praise people, basically, I saw what you did. I appreciate it. In your own words, here's why it's important. You tie it to a larger context. Our core values, our strategic objectives, the team, the department goals we talked about this month. You tie it to that to give more power and meaning to it. And then if you really want to leave a mark, get to the level of emotions and feelings. So a good praise has factual information, but it also has an emotional charge. It's a 1-2 punch that you can't beat. In fact, Mark Twain used to say, I can live for 2 months on a good compliment. I think it's even longer today because of how infrequently most employees tend to get this. And a lot of employees I talk to say they never get it. So, and just one more word on praising. You can praise someone directly. Okay, that's going to be good. But you can also praise them in front of others. It has a dual energy. You get, you're sending a message, but you can also praise them when they're not even in the conversation. You praise them to someone else. And then that word's going to get back to them. Hey, your boss told me you're doing a great job about this. And wow, really? And so that has a power. So try different ways to praise because you're going to find a richness there that maybe you're not tapping into. Now, the top four motivators, types of praise. Let me just fill out that list with other teams. These are all forms of recognition. A lot of times we don't think about this. We think of recognition as a gift card or some time day off or something. But if you want to get recognition that's within the context of the work itself, that is the most powerful. And it's not going to cost you any money to do this, by the way. So from my research, asking employees for their input and ideas. What's that going to cost you? Hey, anyone know how to ideas on how to fix this problem? Wow, that's a simple thing. It makes people feel important. It makes them feel valued. It makes them feel like part of the team, that you respect them, that you trust what they have to say. Direct, honest, two-way communication never will get old. In fact, in my research, 92% of employees said this was the top one for them, having real-time communication from their boss so they can do the best job, have the tools to do the job, providing autonomy and authority to get the job done, involving people in decision-making. 87% said that this was important to them, just including them in the decision. Even if you have to say, I got to make the final decision, but I know it'll be a better one if I get your thoughts, because you're closer to the jobs that you're doing. And so tell me how this decision fits for the job you're doing. And wow, it's going to be a better decision, and it's going to be more easily implemented because you got people on board already. Focusing on the employee's career and future, having the conversation, where do you want to be 5 years from now? How can I help you get there? Simple, important. You gotta make this happen. You gotta make it happen in the virtual environment as well. So if you're do one-on-ones when you're with people physically, you can still do a one-on-one meeting with them, while they're working virtually, and just check in with them. And how's it going? And anything I could do to help you? And any questions you have. And even if they don't have any questions, just the fact that you asked shows that you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you got to start there, and then support when they make a mistake is made. How easy it is to react and say, we got a policy about that, and bite their head off, and what's that going to get you? You're going to alienate the person that you're depending on. Be the manager that takes a breath and steps back and says, I'm not sure I would have done it the same way, but what'd you learn from that? That could have been the best training we've had all year for you. I'm glad you made that mistake. Boy, that's the manager you're gonna feel good about, because you're taking the long-term view of the relationship. You're not reacting right now in the moment, and don't ever do that again. Bravo, bravo. They already know they made a mistake. You're trying to rub their nose in it. Just back up and look at the bigger picture. And then if they keep making the same mistake, now that's a different conversation. And the way you frame that is a development conversation. I want to give you some feedback. Feedback's a gift. And so I'm doing this because I care about you and your future. I think you benefit from it. But it's your choice whether you use it or not. So do you want the feedback? Of course they do. And then they, once they know you're on your side, they're more willing to listen to that feedback and make changes that will help them and you both be more successful. So top 10 right there. We already covered it. Do those things. None of it costs a dime. You can do it in the course of the work itself. You will be ahead of the curve, by ahead of 90% of most companies, most managers out there. So, but let's come back to the virtual workers, because this is a game right now that we've been playing for the last year, right? So let me just run through some things you can do virtually for your people. The online meeting callouts is a simple thing. If you have an all hands meeting, you can just call out a couple people or a department that met their goal, or again, how we're doing as an organization. It's not that hard to spotlight someone even in a Zoom context. Electronic thank you cards. There's a lot out there. If you're not using it, tap into it. A lot of them are fun. Here's some, and here's some more. So you can send someone an electronic thank you card with the thank you note, and some of them you can put the note inside the card even. The different capabilities out there. But if you're not using this, you can use. Some platforms allow for Giphies, just kind of fun. Some allow you can even do a video and send someone a short video thanking them personally. Again, make it more real, giving them something that they can show to their spouse or their family or keep.
Kind of a couple of quick comments and follow-up on this one, Dr. Bob. Obviously, we have a platform that does all this stuff, but in addition to that, for those who are looking for maybe, Dr. Bob, I think you're great at always sharing like low cost, no cost solutions. So PowerPoint, there's a bunch of free PowerPoint downloadable templates you can leverage that allow you to send e-cards. Google Spreadsheets offers the same thing. There are a bunch of free solutions out there if you want to do something cool like this today. But yeah, this is a great tool, and we've seen a ton of success with this.
So the point is the foundation for this topic is behavioral, doing these things. Now, once you're doing that, you can add on gift cards or point programs or celebrations, and but don't feel because you're passing out some Starbucks cards that you're all over the recognition thing. Chances are you're not. It doesn't start with the gift card. It starts with the behavior, the personal thanks, making someone feel valued. Thank you, Jason. Praise barrages. I love this. I got this from a friend who works for the city of San Diego. He's a manager there, and it's a simple thing. You can do it in person. You can do it on Zoom. It's taking a moment and next Zoom call, just hey, before we get started, I just want to go around the group, and as I say someone's name, I like everyone else to speak up and say what they like about working with the person, what they value about having them as a team member. 100% positive. Okay, let's start with Gary. Okay, now Sally, now John. And you just, in under 10 minutes, you go around the whole group. I tell you, if people hear 2 or 3 comments from their colleagues about what they're good at, follow through, creative, jumping in, taking initiative, they're going to become great at those things, and you're going to be a stronger team. Okay, so you could do it on Zoom. Next time you're together in person, you can do it with index cards, jot out thank you notes to others, people that you haven't had a chance to thank them, and you get 4 or 5 index cards of thanks from coworkers on stuff you've done for them. You're going to be better at doing that going forward. You can count on it. I guarantee that. The Praise Buddy and Me pages, I got this idea from Hyatt Corporation. They on virtual and with virtual teams, they assign people to be buddies. Sally, I want you to, over the next month to look for specifically what Jane's doing, and to thank her for us and to call it out in some way, personally or on the team or whatnot. And it's like a Secret Santa type thing, but we're having fun with that. Or you can also, as I said, they also have me pages where people write about themselves. And in fact, Wyndham hotels, they do this as well, where they have, when they're signed up for the benefits, they give them a 1 page, like a dozen questions about their hobbies, personal interests, do they have any pets, or the pets' names, what's their favorite food, favorite flower, and then they make that, they give that copy to their manager, that person has, or they make it available for anyone to access. So when you want to thank someone, you can go do something that will be meaningful to them. Again, a simple way to help people better connect the dots on this topic. Applause, electronic bulletin boards, again, software platforms on recognition now are very good at this. This is one from Bucket List, where again, if you have a platform like this, you can make as you recognize someone, you recognize them publicly, and it goes on a news feed that everyone can see. And as it scrolls down here, you see, and you can include Giphies and gift cards and whatnot. And so there's this rolling scroll of good things that people are doing. And then often you can comment on any of those, like Facebook, or you can like it. And so it's a real richness that brings it out. And here we see the leaderboard of who's good at this in their organization. That's going to prompt a lot of people to begin the game, because no manager wants to be on the bottom of the list, So whatever it takes to get them in the game and get them more active, a great example. Simultaneous celebrations, with the whole COVID thing, starting out of New York, New Jersey, they started doing every night at 7. People would go out on their balconies and bang pans and to thank the healthcare workers. And this one on the upper right here is from in England. They did something similar. You can do this. You can do this virtually. I know a company that had worldwide employees around the globe. They said, wherever you are, 4 p.m. on Friday, I want you to stop and applaud at your desk. You're by yourself applauding. It's like a moment of silence. It's like a moment of celebration that we're all doing at the same time. It's fun. It's maybe a little silly, but it's cool. You got to try that if you haven't. Or you can do a popcorn lunch as a celebration. Now, this might again, you might think this is more. You got to be in person to do this, but wait, there's more. You can I spoke at a keynote at a virtual conference in December, and they sent me this thing. I'm going, what the heck is this? And it turns out it's a damn coolest gift I ever got. It's a microwavable bucket. You put in two tablespoons of popcorn and press the microwave popcorn button on your microwave, and 30 seconds later you got a bucket of popcorn. So you can send this. I since have checked into this. I got this for my for some gifts at Christmas, $9 from Walmart. It's like, what? So send all your virtual employees one of these, and we can have a virtual, and then you can use it multiple times. Hey, Friday, let's have a popcorn break. Talk about the week. For people in the office, people that are at home as well. And finally, you want to make sure you're keeping a recognition log for your remote employees, because a lot of times they already feel out of sight, out of mind. So it might be easier for you to thank people that you depend on more closely, that you see more often, or you rely on. But you got to get to everyone. You got to get to the person that you don't see as often, that's working quietly, diligently on their own. And especially if they're out on virtual, they feel they're on an outpost already. You got to reach out to them, connect with them. And one way to make sure you're doing that is to keep a log of your different employees. So you can say, oh, gee, I haven't said anything to Tom, and boy, it's like 4 weeks now. I better ring him up and see how it's going, and he'll thank you for that. Now let me shift gears here, because we're going to a new reality, the hybrid work environment. We've got a lot of virtual employees now. In fact, 42% of the U.S. workforce have been working from home during the pandemic, according to Stanford University. It's a big chunk of people. And wouldn't you know, as the pandemic hopefully is winding down, 40% of employers say, hey, they're planning to have their workers return to the office. Well, good luck with that, because guess what? 61% of those people that have been working from home said, I kind of like this. We made it work. We got over the hump and the bugs, and it's working. So I like to continue working at home indefinitely. 61% of the people you got working at home are saying that right now. And wouldn't you know, half of those, 30%, say, well, if you say I got to come back to work, I'm going to quit. I'll go find a company that lets me work from home, because I like this. I like the flexibility. I like the saving and commuting, the time saving. I like everything about it. And so if you're not flexible, this is going to be make it or break it if you're going to lose the good people because of this. I was working in Albuquerque before the pandemic. I remember hearing with one company, a CEO took over and said, he's going to take names and kick butt. He says, I expect everyone to be in their desk at 8:30 every morning. And this one woman raised her hand and said, I can't do that, sir. What do you mean you can't do that? Well, I'm a single mom. I got 2 kids. I got to drop them off at school. I got to pick them up in the afternoon, when it's time to go. And I've got an aging parents. And if I get a call from, my mom's got to go to the ER, I don't have anyone else to do it. I got to drop everything and take her to the ER. So, well, if you value working here, you'll be in your desk tomorrow at 8:30. What'd she do? What choice did she have? She quit. Turned out that employee was the top revenue producer for that company. In fact, why she was so good was she was highly motivated because she had a job that worked with her life. And so she put the kids to bed and she'd spend 2 hours preparing for the next day, and she was on it. And now she's on it for someone else. She took a lot of clients with her because the connection to that company was that person. So again, we're at a crossroads now where a lot of you are going to have that choice where you're going to lose good people unless you find a way to embrace them. So let's talk about what this topic looks like in the hybrid environment. First of all, it starts with finding out what's important to your employees. If you haven't checked it, and I find most companies don't know this, it just drives me nuts. I often say, hey, they hire me. I say, well, I like to do a couple focus groups to see what's important to people. Oh, we already know what's important to them. Oh, really? What is that? Well, money. They want promotions. They want good benefits. Oh, that's what they said? No, but we know that's where we're spending all our money. Well, this is a different question. How do you like to be recognized when you do good work? No one's going to say, have a good benefits package. They're going to say, I like someone to say something to me. I like someone to notice. I like them to say it publicly. In my experience, and I've done this just thousands of times across the country and internationally, and I'll ask people, how do you start a workshop with saying, hey, think of a time you felt valued and what happened. And 99% of the things that come back are personal, in the moment, thanks, emails, mementos. It's not the bonuses and the promotions, unless you got a promotion yesterday, then there's a recency effect. But 99% are the simple things that ask what those are for your people. You'll be surprised. Recently I did a focus group in a warehouse workers, and asked this question. And this one guy goes, 4 years ago, they brought the Carl's truck to the parking lot, and employees can order anything they want from that. That was so cool. Here, 4 years ago, the guy's still talking about it. It's like, what'd you do last week or last month? You want people fired up now to do their best now. So it could be something very simple that you're missing because you haven't checked in. Now, when you go to do something for people, you got to do the same thing for the people in the office as virtually. Okay, because they already feel out of sight, out of mind. So you got to do at least a thing, maybe even more for the people that are virtual. You got to check in a little bit more often because they don't have the context of people around them, other team members to talk to. So maybe they even deserve to get a little bit more. And then when possible, follow face to face for everyone when you can. So when you hire a virtual worker, my wife's a virtual worker. She was recently working for a company in Austin. We're in San Diego, and she said, "Hey, Bob, they offered me this job. You want to move to Austin?" I go, "Austin is a nice place. I like San Diego though." No. And so she said, "No, we're not moving to Austin." They go, "Okay, well, we still want to hire you, but we want to come bring you here for 2 weeks to orient you." So if you have a virtual person, you can't skip the face-to-face. You gotta orient them and let them meet the people and know who to talk to and find the mission of the organization. And you gotta double down on the front end if they're gonna be on their own going forward. Let me give you some other ideas. I know one of my favorites from Hewlett Packard, the Golden Banana Award, a senior software engineer, and one day is burst into his manager's office. You won't believe it. I found that software bug. I've been working for weeks on it. The manager said, I knew he stopped what he was doing. He groped around his desk. He hands his senior software engineer a banana from his lunch. "Great job, I knew you could do it." Now, it doesn't get simpler than this, right? and for a lot of people, they go, "Well, how stupid is that?" But it wasn't stupid to the software engineer. He showed everyone the banana the boss gave him and why. And it took on this life, this story, this power. And now today in that division, Hewlett Packard, Sunnyvale, California, the most important meaningful incentive for technical employees is the Golden Banana Award. Not the same banana. They retired that puppy, but they kept it. It became something, and you get that, and you get a lapel pins of a banana for your name tag, and again, virtually, what does this look like? Well, you can put a badge icon in front of their name on their email address. I work with Qualcomm, and they do that for ambassadors for recognition, for example. They get a little logo in front of their name, and everyone knows that they're recognition ambassadors. It's really cool. So you could think about how you can connect with the people that are virtual as well. Pass around trophies at the Austin Personnel Management, where I worked with them. 2.3 million employees, by the way. When you think you got a tough time managing employees, think of a group that's got 2.3 million that they're trying to motivate. And yet they do it, and they do it very well, thank you. And one of the things they do is they do a pass around award. They had this one award called the Wing Spread Award. And they had a whole criteria. When you do awards, you want to be objective criteria, so it doesn't look like favoritism. And they gave this award, and this one woman got it. She goes, "No, this means a lot to me, but I didn't do this by myself. A lot of people helped me achieve this goal. Is it okay? She asked her manager if I give this trophy to someone that works for me. It's your trophy, you can do whatever you want with it. So she started a pass around award, gave it to that person who then gave it to someone else, and they gave it publicly. And again, simple idea, low cost. It doesn't matter what you're passing around. You can go to buy a piece of junk or a picture frame or whatever it is, and celebrate it. Put person's names on it, decorate it, and maybe their name goes on the big trophy in the office, but you send the virtual worker a small version of it so they can have in their workstation. So again, they feel the presence of that recognition. At Busch Gardens in Tampa, they do core value tokens that around core values, safety, service, that type of thing. And so all their supervisors, when they walk around the park and they see someone doing one of the core values, here's someone helping somebody carry boxes. No one asked them. That's teamwork. Thanks for doing that. Here's somebody that's making lemonade for customers on a hot day in a long line, yet he's having fun with these, joking with people. People are laughing. Way to go! This is for you. And then what they do, the token is that whoever gets this can turn it into payroll and get an extra $20 in their next paycheck. They told me, Bob, no one turns these in because it's meaningful to them, and then they can carry it with them and reminds them of the commitment they've got to the organization. And they're out to lunch and they pull out some change for when the bill comes, and hey, you got one of those tokens. What was that for? Well, I had an idea for how we could save some money. My boss thought it was great. He gave me this token. Really? I got an idea for how our department could save money. Well, maybe you should bring it up. And so it goes. What you recognize gets repeated. And again, you can do this in person. You can do a virtual token. You can do a badge. And I know Jason has that on their platform. You can name a day in an employee's honor. Well, how cool is that? Armark does this. Xerox does this. On next Tuesday is going to be Bob Jones Day, and here's what he did to deserve that. And then on that day, let's have some fun. And if you're in the office, you can have everyone line up in the lobby and give him a standing ovation as he comes in. You can have this boss pick him up from home and chauffeur him to work. But if someone's virtual, you can send a care package to their house where everyone signed the card and here's some goodies. We're doing a lot of virtual happy hours. It could be it could be snacks, it could be alcohol, whatever works for. Maybe it's their choice. Whenever you can, ask employees for their choice to be more on the mark. So again, a simple honor. You can list all those people in the lobby. And so there's a physical presence as well. You can give them a certificate they can print out, and that is simple. It's silly, but they put it on their wall, and I got they can't see my office, but I've got hundreds of these types of things around, and they speak to me. They speak to me daily, so it keeps me fired up. You could do storytelling. A lot of companies are good at this. Home Depot, for example. Here's Frank Blake, former chairman CEO of Home Depot. When you recognize people for extraordinary work, you tell a story. Everyone remembers that moment. That person you recognize is thrilled, and everyone else is thinking, I want a story told about me too. And so they have their leaders tell stories. In other companies like at Macy's, they have employees tell stories on each other. Macy's does 20,000 stories a month. It doesn't get old. It's constantly renewing. It's all, no one feels, someone again's telling me for something I did a good job that I did last week. It's good this week too. Keeps me doing it, keeps it fresh, keeps the values, keeps the goals of the department, of the organization fresh. And that's what you want. You need that to keep people on it. And then now you can do more bigger things too as time goes. You can do team building experiences. My wife's a computer scientist. They have Scrum and sprints, and every 2-week sprint, at the end of which they debrief the workload that the group did, but they also do some type of celebration, a team building experience or something fun. And there's a lot of things you can do. And you can have a meal making thing where you send meal making kits to everyone. My wife and I did this for Valentine's Day. It was great. We found a place that they sent us a Valentine's meal making thing in a box, and we made, well, actually we didn't. She made the the meal, but it was a gourmet meal, and they had directions, and they had video for how to make it from the chef. It came from a farm, all fresh goods. It was an incredible meal, an incredible experience. Now you could do that, with a loved one. You could do it with the team. You can't do that every day, but for big milestones, you should be doing things like that. I think it's very important. After recognition, in my research, in fact, my book, 1,001 Ways to Engage Employees, has got the top 10 things that engage people today, research based, and each one I talk about what that looks like. The first one's all recognition. The second chapter is all about career development and career growth, and this is important to employees. And so you've got to take time to talk to them periodically about where they see themselves being in 5 years. And if it's in the organization, what does that look like? And what have you thought about? And would you like to go spend time in that department, checking it out? The more you can integrate personal, in fact, my definition of engagement is alignment of personal aspirations with company objectives. And so you got to come back to this. You got to come back to this as every manager. So on one-on-ones, and again, you can do this in person, but you can also do them virtually. Don't skip one-on-ones because we're in a virtual time. Still plan to check in with people periodically. Is that every 2 weeks? Is it once a month? Check in with everyone, not just the people you always talk to, but everyone, to say, how's it going? Do you have any questions I can help you with? Do you have your needs met? Resources? Hey, have you thought, how's the job going for you? Are you still excited? I know a company that the CEO, he systematically asks employees, the PR firm in Los Angeles, he's periodically asks employees, are you excited about what you're doing right now? Right now, your job. And yeah, I'm really excited. Sometimes people say, well, not so much. When that happens, he cancels his lunch. He goes, we're going to have lunch together. We're going to talk about this, because when someone's not excited about their job anymore, they already have one foot out the door, and you got to catch them before they take the second foot out, because now they're gone, and you can't. It's too late to get them back. They say, hey, I'm leaving. Oh, where are you going? Oh, well, they give me more pay. Yeah, they gave me a bump. Well, we can give you more money. So no, I'm good. Because they already gave up on you, months or years ago. It's just took them some time to find the next job. But so you got to be checking to make sure people are excited about what they're doing. Are they learning? And so a form of reward can be given someone Audible. $15. They can have books on tape. They can work on development when they're exercising. You could be the person that makes that connection. And then it could be more than that. It could be, of course, be training. It could be followership in your organization. There's a whole richness on career development you can tap into, and all of it to me is recognition. It's recognizing that people do want to have a career, and it's more than just this job. They've got a life and they've got ambitions, and the more you can tap into that, the more motivated they're going to be for you now. And that takes us to, one of the things I love about bucket lists. And Jason, from the very first time I met you, I was inspired, to be honest, because here's the company. It took this concept. Everyone knows the concept of the bucket list. What do you want to do with your life? And it's like, a skydive and Machu Picchu and whatnot. And then when you can do that? Oh, when I retire, sometimes before I'm dead, and bucket list. And please correct me if I'm wrong, Jason. They said, we don't need to put this off till after we're done with our work lives. We need to integrate this with work, and that's the foundation, as I understand it, of their whole company. How can we make people's life goals happen now as part of their work goals? And this is one and a company they work with to help people to do an outdoor activities to be excited about. And fill me in what I missed there, Jason.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. And the key, and you've been mentioning this throughout today's presentation, is just to personalize the recognition and rewards moment. And so over at O2E or 1-800-GOT-JUNK, specifically what they did is they just surveyed their employees and they asked, how do you want to be recognized and rewarded? And they help employees achieve life goals. So whether that's to learn a new language, whether it's to get in shape, learn how to drive standard. The program's inclusive of all that good stuff. Because when you align what companies want and what people want, you get a huge win out of that.
So I love that, because a lot of stuff I'm talking about is within the context of work and getting more of the work done. But again, you want to have a real connective power with your people, stretch it out to what they want to do with their life. And and you guys are the best I've seen at doing that, Jason. So thank you for continuing to inspire me on that topic. And I want to save some time for questions, but I want to remind you that if you're listening to us now and you've given us your preferred mailing address, you will get a copy of my new book, which isn't out yet, called Work Made Fun Gets Done. And I'm very excited about it. I don't know when exactly I'll have books. The publisher told me here in March sometime, but as soon as I have books, the first ones are going to people that are on this call right now. If you gave us your preferred mailing address, that could be at work, it could be at home, wherever you want the book sent. I love doing books. This is my 31st book, and each one of them is like childbirth. It's hard. You never think you get through it, and then all of a sudden it's done. It's out there, and I know you're gonna love this book as well.
Dr. Bob, in the spirit of recognition, our little chat window just blew up. There's probably like 80, 90 comments. People are pumped. Great. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Let's get to it. But one final, I gotta give you one final plug here, a bucket list.
So much.
That top ranked, as Jason said, top ranked employee recognition reward platform and program. So we talked about the programs, but we've got a software platform where you can do more of this recognition. And please check that out, or I know they'd love to give you a demo, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I'll take 20 seconds here, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A. And I've recorded a ton of great questions. I tried everything that was typed in the chat window. We're about to try to run through as much as we can, and I also see a bunch of questions in the Q&A window, so we're going to run through both of those.
Okay. And what we don't get to, by the way, I promise I'll address in writing, and we'll send the question and the response to everybody. I did this once. It took me 9 hours, but it's worth it, and you guys will love it too. So, and so with that, let's do a couple of questions. If it's okay, Jason, let me start with one that I get a lot, because a lot of people on the call here, I'm sure it's like a little bit of preaching to the choir. You already know this is important. That's why you checked in here. You're looking for ways to do more of it because it's working for you. And a lot of times people say, a question I get a lot is, how do I get my manager in the game on this? You know, it's important to me, but it doesn't seem important to him because he never does it. Or how do I get upper management in this? So my 2 cents on that is that if your manager's not doing this, you gotta talk to him about it and say, hey, by the way, it really means a lot to me if you would tell me what you like about the job I'm doing, or when I finish a project, if you would take time to give me feedback on that, and maybe share it with the management team, you know, whatever it is that you're looking for, to ask for that, to put his antenna on that. And then if he does do something, again, you want to reinforce that, you know. So it'd be very simple. It's like, you know, he brought in a client in the company, and he brought him over to your office to introduce you and to talk about the role you have on the team. And boy, if you want your manager to do that again, you got to make sure you thank them. Hey, I really appreciate when you brought the client by the office, and boy, that really meant a lot to me. You can't help, just human nature. Next time there's a client in the building, he's bringing them by your office. You know, so you got to plant the seed. And how do you get upper management involved? Again, this is a big topic, an important topic, and I've got a lot to say on this. I got a whole chapter in my book on the 1001 Rewards and Recognition Field Book. I've got a whole chapter dedicated just on getting upper management in the game. And in a nutshell, you got to talk their language. I've got like 7 strategies that I've seen work, but it starts with, you know, the higher you go in an organization, the less you're dealing with, you know, people become a line item in the budget. It's, you know, and you're looking to squeeze that number, you know, to be more profitable. And so you get pretty removed from the face-to-face stuff. So you've got to talk their language, which by that I mean, let's say recognition not asking them to do recognition, just to make people feel good, because they're going to say, hey, they can worry about feeling good on the weekend. You know, we need them to be productive here. You got to talk in terms of, hey, if you could do more of this, we can get more success. We can better make our goals. If people see that you're concerned about them, they're going to be, because I've seen it. They get excited about when you come by and talk to them, or when you call them out in a like comment on the software platform. It's a significant event to have, hey, my VP recognized me. They know who I am, and they're excited, and they're in the game. So they forget the importance they have as a leader in inspiring others, because they get caught up in the financials and the external environment and whatnot. So you've got to make that connection for them. You got to translate it. If we do this, I worked with a hospital in Hartford, Connecticut, and they did just 3 things. They, you know, nursing, we're short 1 million nurses right now in America because of you know, the crunch on healthcare, and the baby boomers are older, and you need 1 million. You know, so you got to hold on to everyone you got, as well as find ways to get new ones. Working with Hartford Hospital, and they want to just focus on retaining first-year nurses, because it was hard. It's hard to do. They burn out very quickly. It's a terrible place to work. They leave, you know, and so they did freaking 3 things they got out of my book. They in the first 30 days, they gave them a letter welcoming them to the hospital. You're going, wow, you're not doing that already? You know, no, they weren't, but they started. On the 90-day, if they were there 60 days, they gave them a survey monkey, a survey. How's your orientation? How's the first 2 months been for you? Do you have any suggestions for what we could do better to bring you on board? You know, before 60 days, they already lost some of those people, but if they're still there at 60 days, they did that. And the third thing they did on 90 days, if someone had been there 90 days, they pulled them together in a meeting, and they had the head of nursing talk to them, upper management, and they went over the items from the 60-day survey monkey thing, and they brought in a couple balloons and some muffins. That was the total cost of the program. This was the total program that they did, these 3 things, and they improved retention of first-year nurses by 20%, which saved their hospital $1.5 million just in the first year.
It's
This
funny.
stuff is not rocket science. So you got to get in the game and start with a common sense approach to saying, well, let's just do these first things, and then we can all. And they found that if they did, you know, the second thing on the list, the third thing on the list, that they got even more people, you know, staying through. And then they moved that to all nurses, not just the first-year nurses. And that's the way, you know, you got to have an iterative approach, and then you get to everyone. And I'm sure, Jason, when you do programs with people, initially do a pilot, and then you roll it out to large other departments, that type of thing.
Yeah, 100%. And we've seen a huge uptake in healthcare, working with healthcare organizations all over North America. But to that exact specific point, my wife works in healthcare. She's her title is called a respiratory therapist. It's kind of unknown in many cases, but she's
busy.
She's super busy, and she works with a ton of nurses, for example. And she says they're dying just to be told thank you. Like, they just want to be appreciated by their peers, by the doctors who are kind of seen as leadership roles as well. And you're right, there's so many strategies that we can do to encourage a culture of recognition. I'm going to jump into some questions. We have a ton here, if that's okay. And you actually answered brilliant. You answered the first question perfectly, which was how do we get leadership participation? Next up, how can you change a culture of entitlement?
One step at a time. You know, you have to. The entitlement is often the focus on the presence. You got to start focusing more on the performance, which might mean I've seen companies that have put all their stuff on pause. You know, you know, maybe they kept their formal stuff going, which often tends to be the old school stuff, and then they focused on the informal. I've seen some people start over everything from scratch. But basically, you have to, you know, if you got to ship, you got to start turning it slowly. And so you got to pick out some core things that would most impact your competitive advantage and your best place to work type thing, and then take those seriously. Don't make this long laundry list and then not do any of it. You know, I was working with a hospital in Syracuse, New York, Krausen Hospital. They were in bankruptcy actually, and they were struggling, and they had a 3-month CEO temporary who said, if this hospital is going to be saved, it's up to you guys to do it. I'm gone in 3 months. So, whoa, they're backs up against the wall. So they sent out an email to everyone: if you're interested in saving the hospital, show up in the auditorium at 4. And they had a group show up there, all different levels, all different departments, and they focused on what would it take for us to be world class. They looked at a different lens for the first time, and they took people's ideas. And one person said, we keep competing with other hospitals in town. We know that they're better at this and we're better at these things than they are. Why don't we say we'll give any referrals for this type of work to them if they give us referrals to others? Wow, what smart thing. Or they had ideas for how we can turn patients in bed not get bed sores, and they had a whole list of stuff, and they made a list, and then they prioritized it, and then they started with the first one. They went down the list. They created that group, became the Simply the Best committee, and they started meeting periodically to do the things that they said need to be happen that they hadn't done for years. They hadn't talked about doing any of it. Once you know that in 1 year, not only did they come out of bankruptcy and became profitable, but they were voted best place to work in Syracuse, New York. This is the power of what we got on this topic. It's a powder keg. Tap into it.
Outstanding. I've actually had a bunch of questions, which I'm flattered by, but people are asking, where can they learn more about bucket list rewards? We do have a quick survey, which I'm just or a poll question, which I'm just gonna pop up on screen. If for those, and I'll just leave this up there for about 8 seconds and get back to Q&A. But for those who want a demo on bucket list rewards, we'd be happy to give you a quick overview of how this platform works. Those 8 strategies Dr. Bob mentioned earlier for remote work, like we have an electronic bulletin board, e-cards. We tap into
picked all those. I remember.
We integrate with MS Teams, with Slack, Gmail, Outlook. Anyway, so we can help you with all that good stuff. So wonderful. I'm going to wrap that up and get back to some more Q&A. But thank you for everybody for the interest in that. And we're gonna. So the next one is. So we mentioned surveys a whole bunch throughout this webinar. So one attendee said, do you have any appreciation surveys in your materials or books we can use at our organization?
I do actually. In the field book, it's a treasure chest of. I've got training designs. I've got surveys. I've got you name it. I've actually also on my website. I sell a self-scoring survey that one's a recognition, one for employees, one for managers, one for organizational. So yeah, surveys are good, but it's also just, you can add a few questions to your annual employee survey.
Yeah.
Do you feel valued for working here? Does your manager take time to recognize you? Does anyone have a discussion with you? Do you ever about your career? Do you have skip level meetings in your organization where the employee can talk to their boss's boss about their career? Again, ask those questions as a start to getting there. You can do, don't just wait till the annual survey, or some companies do it every 2 years. You can do a pulse survey just on this. Again, SurveyMonkey, it could just be the things that hang with recognition. Am I recognized? Am I valued? Do I get time with my manager? But then also, do I have access to the tools I need? Do I get questions, answers to the questions I need to come up? How fast does that happen? Does anyone ask me for my ideas or suggestions for how we can save money? Or how we can improve things around here, or how we can be more innovative. Boy, if you could open up that. Boy, I do a whole program just talking about that, on how I work with a company in Connecticut. They have a program called iPower. This is their suggestion program, and they have these boxes around the building for people, and they ask every employee to turn in each week 2 ideas for how we can improve things around here, how we can improve customer service, how we can save money, how can we improve teamwork, whatever it is, 2 ideas, and they ask everyone to do it, and they get thousands of ideas, and they don't implement all of them, but they implement a lot of them. And instead of having those ideas go to a committee that reviews them and shoots them all down, it's like, here's an idea. Why doesn't purchasing do this? Who's this guy to tell us what we should be doing in purchasing? And they, most companies don't give any feedback on the suggestions at all. The whole suggestion program is in the lunchroom. There's a box in the wall that's locked. Suggestions here. That's not what it's at. You ask people for their ideas now and then act on them now. They have not a committee. They take a volunteer from their workforce to review those ideas that came in this week. And each one they say, they read it and they go, this is a great idea. And they hand it back to the person that turned it in. We love this idea. You should really do this. And they give them permission to proceed. Let us know if you need any help doing that idea. Well, that's a great one. That's a keeper. And all right, now people are empowered to run with it. Who's going to have more energy for the idea than the person that came up with it? So just doing this one thing, thousands of ideas, they told me that they improved their revenues 5-fold in a 2-year period just by doing this one thing and taking it seriously. They had a problem with turnover, like a revolving door. Their CEO told me it all stopped. Why would you go somewhere else if you can do whatever you want here? I remember a shipper. This is a boardroom ink I'm talking about. They do newsletters and they do these large books, and they asking ideas. I remember this one idea that a shipper in their warehouse said, "Hey, next time we print this book that we send out to people, if we trim the print size 1/16 of an inch, I think we'll save some money." And they go, "Wow, is he right?" They cut a book up, and he's right. And the CEO, Marty Elston, told me, "I've worked in direct mail for 27 years. I didn't even know there was a 4th-class postal rate, but the kid that stares at the chart day in and day out, he knew that there was. If we can tap into what he sees and what he knows, we can all benefit from it." They made that one change. In the first year alone, they saved $500,000 in postage. This stuff is all around you right now. Tap into it through the power of recognition to find out how we can be better together.
Awesome. Outstanding comments and questions, Dr. Bob. Maybe we have time for one more. I appreciate we're kind of at the top of the hour. I see a bunch of people have commented they have to jump off. Again, in the spirit of recognition, Dr. Bob, there's people are like, thank you for the presentation, learned some good tips. Great presentation and ideas. So awesome.
We also, everyone, Jason's going to send everyone a PDF of all the slides too. So
a PDF, and we recorded today's session. We'll send that out as well.
You should have already gotten 101 of the best low cost, no cost ways to recognize employees. And again, if you're on the call, you get the book if we got your address.
Yeah,
I'm not sure when, but it will be. You'll be the first. I
think we're gonna have some keen people following up with us, but that's good. Excitement and anticipation is great. Last question from an anonymous attendee: how to incorporate employee appreciation during these times when employees are, well, I feel like we kind of addressed that remote question. And senior leadership. Here's a nice clean one. As a manager, how frequently should I recognize staff?
Well, more than you're probably doing, to be honest. Again, you can't do it at the end of the year, end of the quarter. You can't do it on a schedule. You have to do it in the moment when you see the desired performance, behavior, or results. That's how often you should do it. And so it's a running dialogue with each employee. And with each employee, it's a little different. You have some employees, especially your younger ones, that they need it more often. They want the validation. You as a manager, you're an important part of their life and maybe their first job. Okay, so they want the attention from you. They want the time with you. They want to learn from you. And so it's more important. You got a senior employee that's you've been with you for 10 years. Maybe you don't have to do it as often because you trust them to know what they're doing and kind of keep out of their hair, respect them. So each person is a little different, and ultimately you have to tap into each person. And that may sound like a lot of work, but that it's a tapestry really, and and as you do that, you find out what works for each person. Some people do it weekly, some people maybe monthly. Everyone does need it, so you can't say they know they're good and they don't need this. Everyone needs it. Everyone needs to hear the external validation of what they're trying to do from the inside.
Outstanding. Awesome. Well, I think with that, we'll move to wrap everything up. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Bob. I've really enjoyed today's comment window. It's been fun running. A huge thumbs up to everything you've been sharing. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. Awesome commentary and participation. And stay tuned. Lots of goodies coming from our end. And with that, why don't we wrap it up? Dr. Bob, thank you so much. Yeah, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on Employee Appreciation Day. Again, it's not meant to be just one day a year that you recognize people. It's a reminder that we need to do this every day. And hopefully we've given you some ideas to make that more a reality in your work environments, wherever they may be.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good one.